Hello. I know this is a strange looking video, but that's exactly the point. It's day 23 and no, 24, and I want to talk about the fluidity of our identities. Um, in a nutshell, it really, really, really is okay to change who you are, to be a different person from yesterday to today. I know that that can potentially be perceived as psychotic, and of course, if there is something that's, psychotic about it and pathological, or which is so outside of my, my knowledge, my experience, so I'm not commenting on that. But starting just from the simplest of things, like if you say something and think something is right today in terms of your view, your value, your criteria, whatever, it is actually okay. It really, really is okay to completely change tomorrow. If it's a genuine new realization, or if it's something that you just feel that different, and you don't feel the same as you felt yesterday, and you don't think about that same thing the same way that you thought of it yesterday. So that's kind of like the simplest, most obvious way of noticing this and actually okaying yourself to do that. A deeper thing is that, as we change, we can truly be unrecognizable to someone who knew us from, some time ago. Now, this kind of unrecognizable level of change, usually, at least in my experience, can't happen overnight. Unlike the other thing I just said, which can, like a change of opinion, you just had an epiphany, or you had a dream, or you just something changed and you just genuinely think different, or the opposite even. So the kind of more drastic way of changing yourself, or rather, looking or seeming very different, unrecognizably so, is something that happens, like I say, over a longer period of time. So people who are with you, like someone you share your life with, may kind of get adjusted to it as you do as well. But other people who, like, you see once a year, or however, not frequently, could possibly have that kind of a bit of a shock, or just surprise, maybe not shock. And that's okay too. In fact, this is absolutely critically essential in that we do allow ourselves to change who we are and who we think we are, and however different to whatever idea of who we are, we had sometime in the past. And yet there is a resistance to this, because we then, by changing ourselves, or allowing for this to happen, everything else around us will change. And what that usually means that, and this is always, I think, for all of us, boils down to relationships or jobs, because money is existentially important. So if we change and we allow for this change, the world around us can't keep up with it. Sometimes literally can't keep up with it, like work situation, job situation, you can't, or rather we don't expect, and we can't. I suppose it's hard for the whole company to change around us. I mean, they're not that flexible or built that way yet. I'm sure there will be the companies of the future that will absolutely allow for that. But yeah, and the relationships as well. People just, and I certainly do love to I am set in my ways, very much so. I consider these ways actually supporting and nurturing to me. So therefore I justify their setness. But, I get poked occasionally, or, I would like to think far less frequently now than I would in the past. That maybe actually I just think it's actually good for me, but where it's not. So, but where I was going with this is that why we resist is because the rest of the world of ours, external one, and like I say, jobs, but particularly relationships, will either drop and just not be in our life because they will not adjust to who we are, or they will have to adjust themselves, and therefore they might not be up for that kind of change, and the other person or the job or whatever. So it's a turmoil essentially, and we just do not want to create turmoil. It's not a pleasant ride necessarily always, but if we have surrounded by that point in our life with people who think alike, who feel the same way about this identity fluidity, let's say, then this work is far less turmoil like, and far more enjoyable actually. and exciting, because that's the thing about change. It's actually exciting. And the fear, sorry for the shakes, and the fear we feel in regards to change is essentially excitement without breath, which is something someone said to me some time ago, or I heard someone say anyway. And I thought, wow, that is so true. And so, yeah, fear, obviously, if your life is in danger, you're being chased by some animal or some, dangerous person with a knife, or you know what I mean, those kind of normal, real examples of where fear is actually, yes, absolutely, act on it and feel it, and, don't, it's not about, you're not imagining, yeah? But other fears like, oh, am I going to be accepted? Is everything going to be okay? It won't be okay, probably, as in it won't be the same. That's the thing, when we sometimes say, oh, is everything going to be okay? Well, it will be, but it will not be the same. And I think that is what we fear when we fear change. We just want everything to stay the same, but for us to feel different, better, and more excited and more fulfilled. But we don't want to change anything because that would create, like I say, turmoil and upset. But it's only like that because the rest of the world around us hasn't caught up with us, isn't aligned with us anymore, and either will get on board and do their work so that we stay aligned with them. It's usually mostly people, isn't it, when we struggle with these things? People we love, people we care about, or we want in our life, but not not at the cost of you, who you are. And you do change, and you are fluid, and there is the point of being human is to just experience as many versions of yourself. So there is a core narrative, there are core themes that you're exploring in this life, which is where astrology comes really handy. So but along those lines, along those narratives, we have so much nuance, there are so many shades, and extremes within those themes that we are going back and forth from and stopping at different points. And that's what life is. It's like to keep experiencing new things, but not for the novelty's sake. I mean, that too, actually, I was just kind of coming from a place of prejudice, actually, that when you say novelty for the sake of new and newness, it's kind of like not a good thing. Well, actually, no, I think it is. Just as a way of having the experience of being human. What does it mean to now feel like this? Because you felt it bubble up in you, and instead of going, oh, no, that's not who I am, I don't shout, or I don't cry, or whatever. Just an example, really, just an example of billions of types of examples that, I could use that are not coming to me at this point in time. And then we just suppress that potential expression. So yes, this could be shadow work and all the rest, but even if it's just like, oh, why not go for a walk down this path that I don't usually go, and it looks a bit maybe, even uninteresting, but just another maybe silly example, but just doing things that are different, that would give us different experiences. And we, like I say, resist because we will be changed, sometimes majorly, by these things, these new experiences. Like, we will not be recognizing ourselves, and then others won't recognize us either anymore. We will be very different. Or there will be just something has been added to us, like as a layer of self-awareness, because we took that path that was a bit different, or we did something out of character. I mean, that sentence is like, what's out of character? Nothing's out of character. It's out of character up until yesterday, but my character is not fixed. So anyway, that's it. That's all I wanted to talk about today. That we are meant to be fluid, and we are meant to not know who we are, because there's not one definition of who we are, and it's okay to be a different you, to have a different answer to the question of who you are every day. It is okay to have a whole bunch, have a notebook full of answers to who you are, and they're all inconsistent, they're all disconnected, not connected. And like I said, as long as that isn't creating psychosis, and it doesn't have to be. It's not about split personalities being running havoc, is that the expression? Running wild and running your life, and you being out of control. This is just like adding layers to yourselves that don't necessarily have to be color coordinated. Kind of, is this color coordination? Probably is. Anyway, Okay, I think I've made my point, I hope. And yeah, stay fluid, stay fluid.